entering this tournament, so he has been on the draw every round so far, but it really hasn't hurt him too much.
Costa has a lot of really good cards in this matchup. He has Sylvan Caryatid, really good. Scavenging Ooze, super good. Polychronos, Stormbred Dragon, Abrupt Decay, Anger of Gods, of course, and Mizzium Mortar. So about 70% of his cards in the main deck are really good against Chris.
Well, last season when Jund Midrange was a good deck, we thought one of its really the reasons I think that the deck came to being good was because it was great against Burning Tree Emissary decks. These decks that would just like Naya Blitz really had trouble beating Jund midrange.
Okay.
And I think this is kind of the same thing going on where you have a deck that's just trying to throw creatures onto the battlefield very quickly, and that's something that Jund can really prey upon.
You know what's pretty funny? Probably Costa's best sideboard card is Golgari Charm here.
Absolutely, Golgari Charm is terrifying for the mono
Just
white
because
deck.
of the -1/-1 to all of Chris' creatures.
Well, let's look at it. He has Boros Elite, Soldier of the Pantheon, Dryad Militant, Daring Skyjack, and Azorius Arrestor all in the main.
So that's 18 creatures.
That is 18 creatures that die
Yeah.
with Golgari Charm.
Do you think Chris is going to be aware of this, and do you think he'll board out some of his 1 toughness creatures? Maybe the Arrestors?
I don't know how many of them he can board out. He has 26 creatures in the main. His sideboard has 7 more creatures, but 3 of them also die to Golgari Charm.
Yeah, I mean, Fiendslayer Paladin might not be the worst here because it,
Right, I mean, but it
like,
still dies to Charm, right?
Yeah, it still dies. No, Fiendslayer Paladin.
Okay.
Yeah, so, I mean, it still dies to Anger of the Gods. The way Fiendslayer Paladin works, it doesn't necessarily have protection from black or red, like Paladin Evicted.
It can't be targeted by
It can't be
black or red.
targeted. So it does get around Hero's Downfall. It gets around Abrupt Decay. Gets around Mizzium Mortars. So it definitely will come in, but it's not that powerful. All right, so Chris now is going out to 5. He is going to be on the play here. Let's see if he'll be able to keep his 5-card hand. I mean, I'm sure Costa's, pretty happy about this.
Costa's going to get to be +3 cards, which
Yeah.
his game plan is an attrition game plan. That's going to be very good for him.
Exactly. All right. So as long as Costa just has some early plays, he's going to be in good shape this game. If he has an Abrupt Decay, if he has a Sylvan Caryatid, even a Scavenging Ooze is fine early on. So
Yeah, he just needs to not stumble.
yeah. But I mean, with Chris being at 5 cards, Chris is going to really need to have like a great draw here.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah, it's just so many of Costa's cards are able to 1-for-1 with this deck
Yeah.
that as long as he has lands and spells, he's going to be in a good situation.
All right. So there is a Plains and a Boros lead from Chris. And Costa does have a Swamp, and it looks like a Thoughtseize. Thoughtseize is actually pretty good here.
Oh, wow. And
Yeah.
especially when you look at Chris's hand, it takes the only card out of it, leaving Chris with just Plains.
And Ajani's one of the cards that could actually get him back from Mulligan to 5.
Exactly. The Thoughtseize is really good here because it's still a 1-for-1.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it is kind of unfortunate for Chris that he had a Boros Elite rather than the 2-power guy.
Right.
Just because it's just the clock's so much slower now.
Boros Elite really likes being accompanied by other creatures, but that's going to be pretty tough. Costa's hand is actually a little weak here. It looks like he has a lot of lands and Rakdos' return, so that's not going to help too much.
Sure.
He did keep a card on top with his Scry.
Oh, Precinct Captain. That's really good.
That is very good.
Yeah.
That's a card that can get him virtual card advantage.
Oh, there's a Polychronos here. He does have the Scavenging Ooze. So he'll play Scavenging Ooze and probably Stomping Ground. Now, if you're Matt Costa, you just take this hit with the Precinct Captain, right?
Yeah, the other option is to chump, and I don't
Yeah.
really feel like chump blocking yet. There's an argument to be made for it, but yeah, he just is going to take 2, give Chris the 1/1.
Okay, so I think Costa's going to be very happy with his next play here. So there is that token that Chris puts into play.
Which is the World Eater.
Yeah, all right. So Costa draws. If it's an Anger of Gods, it might change his line here. Instead, it's a Sylvan Caryatid. So no, his play is just to slam this 5/5 here.
Yeah, Polychronos is very powerful. He can monster sit to eat both the Boros Elite and the 1/1, or to eat the Precinct Captain next turn.
Yeah, I think taking out the Boros Elite and the 1/1 is probably the line he'll take here.
Yeah,
But depending on what he draws, he could just not even do it that turn.
right, he can do that. That'll allow him to use Scavenging Ooze to eat the Boros Elite, and then suddenly has the two biggest creatures on the battlefield. That'll be pretty hard for Chris to overcome.
Yeah, he'll have a 3/3 and he'll have a 7/7 in play. And that's pretty crazy, right? To have a
It's
3/3.
strong.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah, it's 10. I mean, that's the 2-turn clock, right?
Yeah, and all of a sudden Chris has to start chump blocking, which obviously the red-white aggro, the white-red aggro deck never wants to do.
Yeah, his cards I've said that before. Their cards are much better at attacking than blocking. You don't have to look much farther than Boros Elite to realize just how true that can be with the deck.
Sure. Now, is there anything Chris could really draw here? I mean, does he need like running Brave the Elements? Is that going to help him, or is it?
Running Brave the Elements gets this deck out of a lot of situations.
Sure.
He would run into the problem that you had said again there, that he'd have to use the Brave the Elements defensively.
Yeah. To prevent the Polychronos
And I'll
from
tell you,
becoming monstrosity.
if there's mana up, Costa is certainly the kind of player to just play lands and not monsters. the
Yeah,
Polukranos.
exactly. Yeah, he really is. Oh, there's an Ajani. That's going to help a bit.
He's double striking and flying the
So
Precinct Captain.
he'll make
He's
two
gonna make
soldier
it two
tokens.
soldier
yeah.
tokens, deal 4. That puts Costa down to 10.
10. So let's see. He has 3, 5, 6, 7, 8. If Ajani lives, I mean, I guess Chris
There's
has
some
a
play.
Yeah.
He has a chance here if he draws. Like running Brave the Elements now do win the game for him.
I believe it does, but I mean, it depends what Costa has here.
Right.
If Costa draws like a removal spell, we'll see.
I mean, Costa's one Anger of the Gods from just winning the game.
There is a Stormbreath Dragon, so now Stormbreath Dragon is actually super good here because it's a different color. He has 2
Yes.
green creatures. All of a sudden, he has a white. He has a pro white guy in the form of a red creature. So Brave wouldn't actually help that much here.
So Chris has no hand. So Costa knows he's only playing around a top deck Brave the Elements.
Yeah.
He
Well, he has a 1 card in his hand.
okay. He has
Yeah.
one card.
All right, so he is going to go for the Polychronos here. I think he's going to take out a Boros Elite and a Soldier token.
Yep. Polukranos is 2. He's just going to go ahead for Precinct
Captain instead. Okay, that's fine. And then he'll pass the turn. I think he drew a Temple. Immediately plays it.
And it is
Th-
that's
th-
Brave.
Is Brave. I don't think Brave is going to help here, though. He leaves it
Well,
on top.
Okay, hold on. If Costa, so right now this swing is for 6. That's on the board, right? And it'll be 7 once he pluses the Ajani.
Sure, but I mean,
If it's a Brave swing, so he's just gotta get that number up to 10.
yeah, I guess that's fair. I mean,
That's what he's playing. I'm thinking
Yeah.
that's what he's playing to.
yeah, it's like Brave's better than a land, but I don't think Brave's going to win in this game here. Costa is still on 10 life. Oh, is that I believe that's the Anger of Gods he just drew.
I mean, that will win the game.
Yeah, Anger of Gods.
Yeah,
it
it
is
is.
an Anger of Gods. So this is great because he could just go Anger of Gods and he'll have a green mana left over for Scavenging Ooze.
Well, the
And
ooze
he'll
will
be
be
able-
dead.
You-
Anger.
Okay, but he could do the Ooze now, I'm saying. So he could gain the extra life because.
Yeah. Just so he can just gain a life.
Yeah, exactly. Because he has no other play here. Oh, he's going to go Reckless
Reckless
Return
for
instead?
1. Ever the patient player. Costa
Okay.
decides to not cast the Anger of Gods in his
Sure.
hand. He gets rid of the planes, and
And then
he
he's
does
gonna
that
go
ahead of
this
him. Now
line.
he
Okay.
yes.
Yeah, this is probably the safer line.
He plays around Brave the Elements and Boros Charm.
Sure. And then, does Costa even care about the Ajani here, or is he going to go right at Chris's head? I think Costa. Yeah,
no,
just goes
at Chris.
goes at Chris. Okay, great.
Ajani is a card that, like I said, it doesn't matter on an empty board.
Yeah. And now look, he drew the Brave, didn't do anything at all.
Didn't do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he has 7. That put Chris down to 12.
So-
He could put Chris to 1 with the
Stormbreath Dragon. Yeah, he'll probably play the Stormbreath Dragon here.
Yeah, he may just play nothing. He has a Hero's Downfall in hand that answers any top deck that Chris could
Sure.
have.
Sylvan Caratid. And that should be it for Chris. He did draw a Soldier of Pantheon, but that's not really going to do anything. All right, he
So
makes it a
3-2.
3-2.
Hero's
Hero's
Downfall.
I guess Chris is just going to Brave here. He's going to Brave. And Costa will draw for the turn. Just a land. Now he'll play the Stormbreath Dragon. Costa could have killed him this turn if he really wanted to, because he could have played the Stormbreath Dragon last turn. But
Right.
it doesn't make that much of a difference here.
So he's swinging them both. Stormbreath at Ajani, Polukranos at Chris.
So Costa's, I guess, playing extra safe here.
Yeah.
All right.
Just-
Yeah, so Soldier of
Take
Pantheon.
care of all the permanents, and this should be it. I don't think there's a draw that
And
helps
there's
Chris.
another Brave the Elements, yeah. All right, so just Chris went to 5. Nothing he could really do. Costa played well.
Yeah, he did have the running Brave the Elements there, as he said.
Yeah, he essentially did.
Which-
But the way Costa drew, it just didn't work out for Chris. Now Costa's match is going to get even better because even though that Thoughtseize and Rakdos Return did take a card from Chris's hand, those cards are Costa doesn't really want in his
That is
deck.
one of the rare situations where Rakdos Return. That's about the most you'll see Rakdos Return do in the matchup. Which that was a 3-mana discard 1.
Take one, yeah.
Yeah.
It's just So now he's gonna be able to bring in 2 extra Doom Blades. Costa's gonna bring in 2 extra Anger of the Gods, and he's going to bring in 2 Golgari Charms. So that's 6 really, really good sideboard cards he's gonna bring in, and he's gonna cut the 3 Thoughtseizes. He's gonna cut the 2 Rakdos Returns, and he's probably gonna cut one
some,
read the bones.
Yeah, some number of read the
Read the
bones
bones,
as
yeah.
well.
Yeah.
You may even see him keep the Thoughtseize over the read the bones because on turn 1, Thoughtseize is a fine play in this matchup.
To take Priest and Captain?
Just to take whatever. It's
Johnny.
I think, like I said before, his game plan is to just make 1-for-1 removal spells. And on turn 1, Thoughtseize is a removal spell in this matchup. Where it becomes weak, of course, is if he top decks one. It's really bad then.
If he does want to do 1-for-1 removal spells, sometimes Read the Bones could be good, where he could 1-for-1, all of a sudden I'll draw extra cards.
Right. I mean, the whole strategy of 1-for-1, then cast a divination.
Yeah,
it's one of the classic Magic
Exactly, especially in
strategies.
limited. Yeah. So all right, so we have another trivia question for you guys out there.
This is for a year of Star City Games Premium.
All right. So last question here is.
All right. The question is running. So if you watched an Invitational before, you do know there's a fairly large prize on the line.
$10,000.
$10,000.
That's a lot of money.
But in addition to prize money, what special?
You get a trophy too, right?
In addition to the money and trophy,
Okay.
what unique prize is given to our Invitational winner?
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah. So we're looking. Yeah. Let's see. I think we've had one for Jerry Thompson,
Brad Nelson,
Eric Smith.
All right, so
And I think those are the only 3 that have won this prize so far.
yeah, exactly. Jerry Thompson, Eric Smith, and Brad Nelson.
Right.
So if you like goats, if you like goblins, and if you
that
like
might be a clue. That might
be a clue, right?
Okay.
Okay, that's a clue.
If you like
Right.
merit lages.
Yes, exactly. Goats, ghouls, and goblins. All right, so back to the match at hand now. Costa, we know he has a great sideboard plan. What does Chris have? Does he have a great sideboard plan? What do you think, Matthias?
Well, he has those Fiend Slayer Paladins, and all of Jun's removal is black and red, so that at least is something that he can do to mitigate some amount of the removal that Chris had. Remember that Fiend Slayer Paladin can still be Anger of the Gods.
Exactly. It could be Mizium Mortars when it is overloaded.
Yeah, you also see a card like Banisher Priest. I'm not sure whether or not Banisher Priest is boarded in here. It's good at answering a card like Pelugrinos, which is very strong against Chris, so he probably has to bring in Banisher Priest. At the same time, he can't really count on Banisher Priest living.
Yeah, Banisher Priest is not a real removal spell just because Costa has Abrupt Decay, Costa have Anger of Gods. After board, he's going to have Doomblade, Mizium Mortars. He has so much removal, so to get rid of that Banisher Priest, that is not real removal.
I mean,
on the other hand, Pacifism, is it real removal? There's still Abrupt Decay. What do you think? And there's
Well,
still
so
Golgari Charm.
The problem is like the card he wants to remove is Pelukrinos. That's the creature that he actually needs to get rid of. Pacifying a Pelukrinos doesn't solve the problem because it still becomes monstrous. Banisher Priesting a Pelukrinos is actually a liability. If the Pelukrinos
Yes.
is already monstrous, you don't even want to Banisher Priest
Exactly.
it.
Yeah, it's dangerous because the counters become removed.
And
And
it comes
once
back, and then it costs
Yeah.
monstrous it again.
Yeah, so maybe the only real card that Chris is kind of happy about is Fiend Slayer Paladin. Is that right, Matthias?
Yeah, I mean this happens a lot of time with aggro decks. You'll notice that an aggro deck, for example, Chris's list has 38 spells. It is 9 4-ofs and a 2-of. So this is normally constructed because he just believes those 9 cards in the main deck are simply the best 9 cards for this strategy. And because of that, you get very limited sideboards. White weenie and mono red are typically side decks that have very shallow sideboards.
Okay, now here's one option. You think Chris knows that it's a pretty bad matchup. He's down a game. He doesn't really have that many sideboard cards. Maybe he has to get a bit lucky. Do you think this ever comes down to him boarding out some lands? So he's going to draw just more spells and try to outspell Costa's removal?
If he gets game 2 and goes on the draw game 3, I could see him boarding out a land or 2 to try to just increase his threat density.
Yeah.
Assuming he's put the correct number of lands in his deck for being on the play, I think he still needs to keep those lands in.
Okay, yeah, I think it's something that a lot of players don't really think about. Especially now, even with the rule that you don't have to play exactly 60 cards or whatever your main deck started with. If you want, you go up to 61, you go up to 62. I don't think that's necessarily correct, but I think boarding out some lands isn't a bad thing, especially with a really aggro deck like Chris has here.
Well, the way you can think about it is that really every land past the 3rd that Chris draws is almost not it's
a mulligan.
It's not a card.
Yeah.
The Temple of Triumph, I'll say, is half a card, I think.
Okay.
But yeah, and Mutavault's still a card, but those 10 planes and 4 Sacred Foundries, once he starts drawing them, they're actually dead.
Yeah, now, how important do you think the Boros Charms are? To be able to make your guys indestructible, to get past the removal spell, or just to go 4 to the head? Is Boros Charm really, really relevant, or is Boros Charm in this matchup just kind of whatever? It's not a creature. Costa does have life gain with Scavenging Ooze. Scale 1 to 10, Boros Charm in this matchup.
7. I think it's
a little better than average.
I think it's better than Brave the Elements in the matchup even.
Okay.
The 4 damage that it deals is pretty relevant. The one thing that Jund doesn't do that last season's Jund does is that this Jund doesn't gain life very well.
Yeah, only Scavenging Ooze.
Yeah, that's the only life. There's no Thrag Tusk. So Chris, there are some draws where Chris can get Costa down to single-digit life totals and then burn him out from there. He
Okay.
doesn't have to worry about the Jund deck, suddenly going up by 5s anymore.
Yeah, now Casa knows this. Now, do you think if Casa has a turn 2 Scavenging Ooze, would he want to trade with one of Chris's earliest creatures, or do you think he wants to save that Scavenging Ooze for later in the game to gain 2, 3, 4 life?
I think he'd like to save it. I don't know
If he could
if he
afford
can
to?
afford to. If he
Okay.
can afford to save it, I think, if it's Scavenging Ooze, if say there's a Precinct Captain, or maybe not Precinct Captain, but there's some creature, and
Daring
Costa-
Skyjack.
Daring Skyjack, and he can
Yeah.
either play an Ooze or an Abrupt Decay. I think Abrupt Decay is probably the better choice because of what you mentioned there.
Okay, yeah, I could definitely agree with you there. And wow, this is really bad. Chris is taking his 3rd mulligan of the match. He mulled a 5 game 1. It looks like he's going to the 6 here.
That's going to be very difficult for him. As we said before in this matchup, every mulligan is just playing into Costa's plan.
Yeah, it really is. And it looks like Costa's going to keep. He's sitting back in his chair. It just seemed like since like round 4 or round 5, it looked like Costa is just really, confident. He kind of knew that he was going to win this. I'm not saying he is, but Costa said in round 4, round 5, it's like, yeah, I'm probably going to win this tournament. He has a deck he really likes.
Yeah, he liked how it's positioned right now. I was talking with him about the deck, and one of the things he said he really liked about it is how strong the Scrylands are in his deck. He said
Okay.
this is the best Scryland deck that he's played yet.
So I guess John will probably only get better once we get the more Scrylands. Because
We get the next 5 in the next set, then there'll really be the question of just how many do you run.
Yeah, exactly. 'Cause
Right
you'll
now
be able to get the red, black, and the black, green.
Yeah, he currently is on 4, and they're all great in his deck, but yeah, I would certainly think the number is going to increase significantly.
Yeah.
I would say maybe even up to 9 or 10.
Okay, so Chris leads off with the Soldier Pantheon. A little better than last game, because last game he had Plains, Boris lead. There is a Thoughtseize.
So we're going to see it is a land-heavy
wow,
one. So once
again.
again, he takes the only spell out of it.
Yeah.
But there is a Mutavault. So
Mutavault helps a little bit here. But like you said, any land past the another land off the top. At least it's a temple. It's better than nothing here.
yeah, so how about half a card?
Do you play Mutavault or do you play Temple here? What do you think?
Mutavault.
Mutavault,
I
you
think
think?
there's plenty of time to get your value off Temple. You're going to have to be blindly drawing off the deck at some point this game.
Okay.
So I don't think it matters. You'll get to Temple turn 3.
Yeah, I mean, he goes with Temple, and now there's a Boar's Elite, which is kind of like a medium type card here. I think he has to put on the
I don't
bottom.
want it.
Yeah, it's just too weak. He needs to find like an Ajani or a Precinct Captain.
Agreed.
Yeah. All right. So
we see Matt's hand exactly according to plan. It has Doomblade Hero's Downfall. in
yeah,
it.
I think he's probably gonna Doomblade this. He might just take it and wait to
Oh,
see
gosh,
if there's
so-
a better creature.
Yeah. Even though he knows, he's gonna end step Doomblade it.
All right. Ooh, Costa not with a 3rd land here. All
Okay,
right. So
this is an
yeah,
opportunity for
It
Chris.
really is. Is this an Ajani? Wow, is it an Ajani? He could
So-
activate Mutavault to put a
Yep,
counter on it.
activate Mutavault, puts a counter on it. He has to hope there's not another Doomblade in Costa's hand, but there isn't. Remember, Costa's hand has Hero's Downfall, Abrupt Decay in it. So there's
Another swamp here.
yeah. So now he has access. I think it's 2 downfalls,
Yeah,
2
it is, yeah.
decays.
Yeah.
So Chris may think he's out of the woods here, but he's
all right.
he's
and-
gonna fight through
yeah.
a wall of kill spells.
All right, and Chris was just another land. Let's see if Costa could capitalize. He did draw a Reaper of the Wild, so he's just 1 mana away
Nope,
from
just-
having a
just
threat
nothing.
in play.
This Jund is so cool sometimes. Just all kill spells.
All right, in response to Soldier Pantheon, he's going to get rid of that Ajani, which seems like the correct play here.
Yeah, he can't let Cat Apocalypse happen.
Yeah.
Of note, the only removal spells left in Costa's hand are Abrupt Decays. So Soldier of the Pantheon
Yeah,
is safe. He
also
has
has
nothing he can cast.
He also
right
has
now.
Golgari Charm, though, in hand.
Yeah. So he drew a Thoughtseize, opts not to cast it, thinking there's nothing left in his hand. Costa drops to 10 off the Soldier of the Pantheon, and we see Fiendslayer
Fiendslayer
Paladin,
Paladin.
and suddenly Chris has an opening here.
Wow, another Anger of Gods. This is insane.
Costa's almost dead
Yeah,
here.
he's on 10.
Another Ajani drawn for Chris, and Chris has got to be just thrilled here.
All right, so he'll swing in.
Yeah, puts a counter on a guy. That's 5. Costa's going to need an answer this turn.
There's an Overgrown Tomb. He actually double struck that last
Oh,
turn.
he did double-
yeah,
he
which
double
is kind of
struck it.
surprising. All right, so Costa takes 2 from the Overgrown Tomb here. I believe he's going to have to.
Okay, no, he plussed it.
Yeah, so it depends what Chris does here. I believe Chris.
If Chris splits up the tokens,
No, he goes. Yeah, so
Costa's
Costa's going to
Golgari Charm in response. So
Costa's going to go to 1.
yeah, Costa. There was no way for Costa. He could live through that turn no matter how he played it. Because if Chris put both the counters in Fiend Slayer, he'd abrupt decay. No, he can't abrupt decay.
He can't
Fiend
abrupt
Slayer.
decay,
So
yes.
had the counter gone
Yeah,
on Fiend
exactly,
Slayer
yeah.
Paladin, that would have been lethal.
Yeah. All right, there's a Precinct Captain. I think Costa can't pull out of this here. And there's a Stomping Ground. Not
and
going to
he can't
do
shock.
it. He has a handful
Wow.
of abrupt decays. No, all right, wow. So Chris pretty much steals that game from Costa. Costa kept a good hand.
That hand. So basically what Costa's Keep looked like was, if for those of you
On
who
the
weren't
draw.
able to follow that
Yeah.
lightning fast game, was Swamp, Doomblade, Hero's Downfall, Abrupt Decay.
Yeah.
I would keep that every time
Yeah,
against Mono White.
I think there might have been an Anger of the Gods in there, but
Okay.
regardless, yeah, you still have to keep that
2
hand.
lands and 5 kill spells.
Yeah,
That's
it's a good hand.
it's a good hand.
Yeah, and Costa does only play 5 swamps in his deck. He does have a lot of duels. He has 5 swamps, 3 forests, and a mountain. So he only has 8 basic lands.
Right.
And he has 16 dual lands. So he is playing 24 lands in his deck
we
here.
saw he was up so many cards that matchup, but the cards just didn't matter as he couldn't cast any of them.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so they're going to a third game here. Matt Costa will be on the play. Chris on the draw, but Chris has to be feeling pretty good about stealing that game.
I mean, I think once Costa cast that Thoughtseize, Chris's hard head would have sunk a little
Yeah,
bit there.
Chris probably thought it was over. He's like, all right, well.
All he had was a Soldier of the Pantheon,
and a
Plains,
Mutavault.
Mutavault.
Yeah.
That was his whole board.
Yeah, he's probably thinking, finals is okay. I got unlucky, had to mulligan a bunch. But now he's thinking, I'm going to take this trophy. I'm going to go for it here. So, and Costa's saying, no, you're not. I'm gonna definitely get a good draw this time. I'm going to have my right lands. I'm going to go turn 1 Overgrown Tomb, turn 2 Stomping Ground, and I'll be okay. So we'll see what happens. I don't think either player is really going to make any sideboard changes here.
No, not particularly. I'm going to go back. So, do you like the all kill spells hand if they're all 1-for-1s, as opposed to having any way to generate card advantage?
Yeah, I still like it because as long as Matt Costa could keep killing Chris's creatures, eventually Costa's going to draw a threat. He's going to draw Reap of the Wilds. He's going to draw a Stormbred Dragon. He's going to draw Polychronos, even a Scavenging Ooze.
Right, because Costa does play a lot of kill spells. Chris plays more creatures than Costa plays kill spells. So eventually, Costa's either going to have to start 2-for-1ing or playing a creature.
Sure, but also eventually Costa is going to have a threat.
Right, and that, yeah.
And then,
so the idea is you kill things until you can play Reaper, and then Reaper makes the things that are left irrelevant.
exactly. And besides for like Soldier of Pantheon, for example. Now, does Chris even have a good way to deal with Costa's creatures? Not really. Again,
No,
like we
once
said.
if you can go kill spell, Pelucranos,
Yeah.
that's very difficult for Chris to beat.
Realistically, it's only Banish or Priest.
Right.
That's the only, like, quote-unquote semi-removal spell.
And that's only good until Costa draws another kill spell, of which he has many.
Yeah, I mean, you could count Pacifism as a removal spell, but it isn't that great, especially with Abrupt Decay, because now Chris might think, all right, I'm safe, I pacified his creature, I'll attack. All of a sudden, Costa Abrupt Decays the Pacifism, and 2-for-1s.
Yeah, it's still a 2-for-1 if when you pacify the Pelucranos too, because it'll monsters to kill
Exactly.
something else.
Yeah. All right, so I think Costa's really hoping to get a Sylvan Carrot to draw just because it's an 0-3, it's able to block all these 2-power creatures.
Now, interestingly enough, were the old Legendary rule in effect, I might like pacifism because it would prevent Costa from casting another
Yeah.
Pelucranos.
That's reasonable.
But with it's interesting, with the rules change, that kind of strategy becomes a lot worse.
Yeah, all right, so I see a handful of spells, but it looks like his last couple of cards are lands, so there he goes with the Temple.
Both players on 7s.
Yeah, he has Temple, he has Blood Crypt. He decides to keep that card on top. And there's a Dryad Militant from Chris.
Yeah, it looks like he does have a Temple, a Sacred Foundry, and a Boros Charm that we were talking about.
Yeah,
So
oh,
he has
and there's
his
a
best
Sylvan-
hand yet.
Yeah, but look at Costa. Costa does have the Sylvan Carrot. He has his right mana along with the Sylvan Carrot.
Yeah, Costa's mana is on point this game.
Yeah, and I do believe I see a Stormbred Dragon in Costa's hand, which could end the game quickly.
Yeah, with something as good at being, like with that Sylvan Caryatid that's a very good defender, Costa can actually counter race to a point here.
Exactly.
He has to watch out because Chris does have cards like Boros Charm, which are very difficult to race against.
Yeah, speaking of the Sylvan Carrot, it is a defender, like you said, is also a mana ramper, which is very important to get that Stormbred Dragon out 1 turn earlier.
Right, so Chris is going to swing.
Costa's definitely going to block here. I can't see him ever not blocking.
Yeah, there's no reason not to.
Well,
He's
just
gonna-
the Boros
So
Charm.
he double struck it.
Yeah, but I think Costa's fine with that.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
I think.
I mean, Chris has to use
Is that
the
even?
Boros.
Is that a good trade for Chris? You think?
I don't know. I mean, if Chris had a 2-drop in his hand, he would probably rather play a 2-drop. Maybe he's scared of Sylvan Carrot ramping.
The problem I have with that is that now Costa can make a play like this, ooze, eat the Caryatid, and Chris just seems so far behind.
Yeah, he really does. But I don't know. That's what Chris decided to do. So
Yeah.
we'll see what happens here. Chris does have an Ajani. I believe he has a Mutavault, so he could go Mutavault, Ajani.
He has to pick between a Johnny and Fiendslayer Paladin this turn.
Sure. I think playing a Johnny here is probably better, and then he could make the draw.
Plus?
Yeah, and then swing in and see what Costa does. If
I
I'm
think Costa
Costa,
will still trade.
I think he's gonna take it here.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you're right, he goes to 16.
Yeah, I think he wants to take it just because he does have another removal spell in hand. He has
Sure, so you can
Hero's
kill
Downfall.
it and eat it.
Kill it, eat it, bring a Johnny down to 1.
That's very strong.
Yeah, so that might be Costa's line. However, he did draw a Sylvan Carotid, which
Yeah.
is the next mana he does need for that Stormbright Dragon.
The other thing is that to make that line of kill it, eat it, he'd have to shock himself.
Okay, but I mean, he could just kill it and not shock himself.
Right.
Oh,
He's gonna
wow.
go with the very conservative play of just Heroes Downfalling
The
the Johnny.
Johnny, that's kind of interesting. Okay.
His hand still has a Caryatid, Heroes Downfall, and Storm Breath left in it.
Yeah, and I think Costa might have. Let's see. He might have let the Scavenging Ooze back just so he doesn't get attacked by the Mutavault. I think he might take this Dryad Militant hit.
Yeah, the reason he killed the Ajani there was because he didn't want to have a flying double striking Dryad Militant. That possibly just would have been too much damage.
Well, I mean, he could have Hero's Downfall the Dryad Militant instead. That was the other line.
Right. And he
The,
could
the line that I thought he would take was Hero's Downfall the Dryad Militant and have
Shock.
Scavenging. Yeah, and then bring a Johnny out to 1 with the Scavenging Ooze.
right.
So that was my line
He does
there.
take a lot of damage that way when Chris could reactivate Mutavault, put a counter on it, hit him.
I
he has
mean,
to. I think it's fine to play it that way too. I
He
think
he only really takes 1 damage because he's paying 2 life, but he's gaining a life back.
right.
And if Chris is activating that Mutavault and swinging him for 3, that means he's not, maybe developing his board as well as Chris could.
Yeah, I think what appears to be is that Costa's playing this game as conservative with his life total as possible.
Okay.
Like, he's trying to keep the Scavenging Ooze alive for potential later on life gains.
Sure.
And he's, I think that's what's going on here.
Okay. So Chris has a Boros Charm on top of his deck that he's still leave there.
Yeah.
I believe he's going to play Fiendslayer Paladin here.
Chris has a lot of action right now. He has in his hand Fiendslayer Paladin and Boros Elite
And Precinct Captain.
and Precinct Captain and that Boros Charm on top of his deck. There's a lot of weapons for Chris here.
Yeah. All right. So Costa draws a Swamp. So now he's able to play the Stormbright Dragon without taking any damage. And Costa could just leave the Stormbright Dragon back on defense. And Chris really can't do too much to plow through here. We'll see what Costa decides to do. He's going to go for the
he's
Hero's Downfall?
Yeah, he's just trying to keep the board clean. He's going to go Hero's Downfall, I think, and then Sylvan Caryatid.
Okay, yeah, I agree with this line of play, what Costa's doing. I don't know if I would have taken the same line here.
Yeah, it's really hard to not cast Stormbreath Dragon.
Yeah. So, I mean, Stormbright Dragon just seems so good here. Regardless, he's going to make Scavenging Ooze a 4/4. He's going to go up to 14 life,
And then just pass
pass the turn. So he's not even going to play the Carotid here.
Playing very conservative with his life total.
Yep.
Just wants to have this 4/4 in play.
Okay, so there's a Boros Charm. So Chris has Mutavault, he has Boros Elite, he has Precinct Captain, and Boros Charm.
I think what we might see Chris do here is just drop everything on the board and then next turn go swing Boros Charm.
Yeah, that's what I think as well. The only problem is, though, if now the Stormbright Dragon is down, even swing Boros Charm doesn't really do too much.
If you're Chris, do you play around Anger of the Gods?
I don't think you could play around Anger of the Gods here.
Well, you do have a Boros Charm. It's possible that if you're committed to playing around Anger, you could.
Okay, so he's gonna swing it with both here, and then
I think he wants to trade with Scavenging Ooze.
is he that worried about Scavenging Ooze?
My guess is yes, based on
Yeah.
this play.
All right, I mean,
You're right that
he's
I
gonna
didn't
2 for
expect
1
it.
himself here.
He's going to 2-for-1 himself. Yep.
So Casa's definitely gonna block. I mean, Casa's gonna like this 2-for-1 here. I mean, that Boros Charm I feel like could do so much more. He could just build his board, have double Mutavault next turn, and the Boros Charm could even go to the face if he needs to. Or with more unblocked creatures, Boros Charm becomes better because of the double strike.
Mm-hmm.
Because other creatures are actually gonna get through here.
He's going to go ahead and trade there, the Boros Charm and the Fiendslayer for the Scavenging Ooze. That'll
All right.
deal 2 damage to Costa. Costa will drop to 12, though. Now he has no blocker. There is a chance that if you're Chris, you're thinking, hey, Costa only has 2 cards left. Maybe none of them are, if there's not a creature there.
Okay.
And he actually has to tap for that Boros Charm.
I mean, it's reasonable. Yeah, he does have to tap his mana, though, so he could only play Boros Elite if he wants to.
Yeah, he can't play the Precinct Captain.
Yeah.
They're putting that out there. Yeah, you actually have to pay for your spells,
All right.
sir.
Yeah, so he is going to play the Boros Elite. Costa will draw.
But Costa has another great blocker waiting in the wings.
Thoughtseize. Costa draws a Thoughtseize, not what he wants here.
So he has an option. He could he's gonna go with Storm Breath. He either could go Storm Breath or he could go Thoughtseize Caryatid. I think he makes that play.
Yeah, so he has to go Stormbreath Dragon Peak because if he goes Carotid, he's going to take 7 damage.
He's
this
gonna
turn.
take too much.
Yeah,
Yeah, the problem is that Thoughtseize is not gonna be a card
Exactly.
anymore.
He's going to take 2 from the Thoughtseize, and he's going to take 3 from the Boros Elite and 2 from another Mutavault. So now if I'm Chris here, I might just try to Suicide, bring Costa down to 8, play Precinct Captain, and hope the top card on my deck is really good, maybe?
Well, he has 2 creatures in hand, so a suicide is going to happen at some point. The question is whether you want to do it this turn or whether you want to do it next
Yeah,
turn
it's-
when you have 5 attackers.
Yeah, if he has 2 creatures in his hand, it's probably too soon to do a Suicide attack. Costa is on 12 life. I think Chris might be able to deal enough. It's going to be really, really close. He has Boros Elite and Precinct Captain. So I think playing Boros Elite, Precinct Captain, say go is the line here.
I would agree. That's what I would take.
Yeah, and he's going to have to bank on Costa just, drawing a land, drawing another Thoughtseize, just drawing pretty much a blank.
Well, if he suicide attacks here, he can still play a Boros Elite. He will lose a Mutavault and he'll deal 5. He'd put Costa to 7 and have.
No, he would only deal 4. The 2 Mutavaults would get in.
Okay, you think he'd block the Elite, not a Mutavault?
Yeah, I think he would block the Elite.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
So he only plays Precinct Captain and he holds Boros Elite?
I think he's representing Brave the Elements is my guess.
I don't think representing anything here. I think he's just playing too cautiously, and I don't know. Well, we'll see what Chris draws. Is it it's a Soldier of Pantheon? I think Chris needs to just go Soldier of Pantheon. I think he has to play out his hand.
everything.
He just has to and hope for the best.
he
Costa
doesn't
does have
wanna-
Anger Gods in his deck, but what can you do?
Yeah, so maybe he's trying to represent Brave the Elements. At the same time, he's actually giving Costa chances to Thoughtseize.
Yeah. Well, I don't think at this point Costa will Thoughtseize. Maybe depending on what he draws here.
Playing more creatures, and he's passing. He's just trying to build. I think he's trying to build up to one big lethal attack.
He drew something. Oh, so he is going to
And thought
Thoughtseize.
he's going to get a card from Chris.
Okay, so Costa's on 10.
That was very fortunate that Costa was able to get value off that Thoughtseize.
Yep. All right, so Chris draws. We're not sure what Costa has in his hand.
There's always he is one Brave the Elements though from pretty much getting this game.
I think Chris has to go for the attack here. I think Costa has a spell in hand, though. If Costa does have like an Abrupt Decay or a Hero's Downfall, this is going to be bad for Chris. He's trying to
He's
figure out the
measuring it out. Yeah,
blocks.
what would get through, what would not get through. That's 9 damage that would probably get through here.
Well,
This is a good
here-
situation for Chris.
Here would only be 3. Like Costa wrote a 3. It would be 7
Yeah,
damage.
7 damage because he gets a free block there.
Yeah. So are these the blocks that Costa's going to go with? Probably.
If I'm Chris, I like this because this looks like you could have him lethal.
So he's activating Mutavault.
Standard legacy window boxes, $10
All right.
drafts.
And
Alright.
is anything before combat? I don't think Costa would do anything before combat.
Just come on and see me.
Is it a bluff here? He's tapping, so I guess it's not a bluff. No?
If he could have if he had Golgari Charm, he'd want to do it now.
Yeah. All right. So everything comes through. I feel like Costa might be getting a bit nervous here.
As he should be. This
Yeah.
going to 3 is not. Your opponent plays Boros Charms. Going to 3 is not really a safe place.
Really interesting game. I mean, there were so many lines each player could have taken. We had our opinions. Costa had his opinion. Chris had his opinion. And now we're here.
Costa takes 7, drops to 3.
He is on 3. So it would be left with a Mutavault, Precinct Captain, Boros Elite. Costa needs something here. He draws. It's a Sylvan Carotid, I think. And then the last card was just
another
Thoughtseize.
Thoughtseize.
So Costa could survive here. He could go to 1. He draws.
Fiendslayer Paladin.
Fiendslayer Paladin is Sacred
So
Foundry in
Chris
hand.
cannot swing all out and cast Fiendslayer Paladin. He is 1 mana short of doing that. So
Co-
Costa may have got himself a reprieve.
Costa's on 3.
Do you attack with everything,
No,
or do you play Fiendslayer?
I think you just play Fiendslayer and pass.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that line. Fiendslayer pass. Let's see what Chris decides to do here. I think bringing Costa down to 1, but losing a guy is not worth it.
Because then you have no ability to push that last damage.
Exactly.
You have to draw Brave or Boros Charm.
Because right now, if Chris just plays Fiendslayer Paladin and passes, and Costa doesn't do anything, Chris has lethal.
Right.
So
He's going to force Costa to continue to draw cards.
exactly, yeah, the perfect way to put it. Because next turn, Chris will have 5 threats to Costa's 3. And is he going to go for it? He's going for the Mutavaults. I think the first line we were talking about is just a lot safer. because now next
All
turn,
right, he's going in for the attack here.
with this attack here, Costa doesn't need to draw anything next turn.
Costa is no longer under pressure.
Yeah, Costa just got a free turn because of this line that Chris took here. So Costa will
See-
draw.
See how much.
Let's see what it
matters.
is.
He drew
A Storm Breath
so,
Dragon.
Remember
So
I
it
said
mattered a
Costa
lot.
needed to draw something.
Yeah.
He did draw the answer there.
Yeah, so if Chris took another line, it would be a totally different story. Now Costa could actually attack here.
Well, what I think
All his guys is hexproof essentially. Pro white, hexproof, hexproof.
I think what we might see him do. He's gonna swing one.
Yeah,
Storm
he is,
Remember
yeah.
that he can start monstrosing these dragons.
Yeah, he's one land away if he wants Sylvan Caratid to be untapped. He could do it on the end step though.
Right.
Yeah.
So
All
it's
right.
Chris down to 14.
So Chris draws another
land.
land. Wow.
All right.
Yeah, that last turn was really important, and I think Chris took a line that allows him now to lose the game. Otherwise, Costa would have had to leave.
Couldn't
that
have attacked.
Yeah, he could
Yep.
not have attacked. All right. All right. So now he draws a forest. Okay,
All
so
right,
now
no help.
Costa gets to just pass the turn, and on Chris's draw step, he could monstrosity it,
Yes.
and then he could untap monstrosity again. So this is lethal next turn. If Chris doesn't have anything, this could be lethal. Let's see.
So he deals 2 damage to Chris. That puts him to 16.
Yeah, Chris has to play out a card in his hand. He can't be stuck holding that land in hand.
Yeah,
What
it's
does
okay,
he
has
draw?
Drawn,
Is it a Zorius Arrestor? That
he's drawn a
doesn't,
Zorius
that doesn't
Arrestor.
do anything. Pro
It
White
can't, it can't target
yeah, it
anything.
can't do anything.
Target a thing.
Yeah. Wow, this is insane. So Chris is on. So
But it is a creature, and
it
all
is a creature.
and so
he plays planes.
He plays out his hand, and Matt
Okay.
has to draw something.
Now Matt has to draw something. Let's see what it is. All right, big draw step here. Costa draws. Oh, it's a scab. I think it's a
Is it
scavenging
Scavenging Ooze?
ooze. Oh
He
wow,
hits the creature he
that's
needs, and that's-
insane.
That is a huge draw. Costa does hit the creature when he needs it, and he's gonna immediately gain 1 life, gain 2 life.
Oh wow. Okay, so now Costa has to think: can he play around Brave the Elements? Can he attack with the Stormbred Dragon? What's going on here?
I think he can hit with the 7/7.
I think, let's see, 1, 2, 3. He's on 3. If he attacks with the 7/7, he'll go down to 1 if Chris draws a blank. But now the second Azorius Arrestor is an out for Chris if Costa.
Right.
I mean, this is just crazy here. It really is.
This is so.
Wow, I'm excited. A lot of great draws. Costa's thinking. Look, Costa actually looks red for the first time, you know?
Yeah, I think he's gonna end up swinging the 7/7.
Do you think he is?
Yep.
If he doesn't swing with the 7/7, he gives Chris an extra draw step. Will Chris have
I
to?
think so. The question is like, leaving the ooze in play gives Chris an additional out on Azorius Arrestor, but leaving the swinging the dragon, or not swinging the dragon, gives Chris an extra draw, which is probably more out than the extra card.
Okay, I think what's going to happen here, I think Costa just has to attack with the 7/7, and he just has to hope that Chris draws a blank.
Yes. If he doesn't swing, he's hoping that Chris draws 2 blanks. But he's
Well, he's hoping Chris draws a blank or Costa draws something.
yes.
It's so. This is really tough. I mean, I don't know. That's it. I'm done. You know. If you guys have any thoughts on this, let us know. Tweet at us. Should Costa swing with the Stormbred Dragon, or should he hold it back? Really intense draws there, you know. And still, I think it might go back to if Chris took that different line, Chris would still be at, I believe, 22 life. He would still be up there pretty high, correct?
Yes, if he hadn't made the 1 suicide attack there.
Yeah. All right. So I think Costa's gonna go for it. All right. Chris is going down to 9. All right. So 1 draw step. Do you think Chris is gonna slam it or slow
I
roll?
hope does he hit the Boros Charm?
I don't know.
I
What was
think it's land.
it? A land?
I'm not positive. We'll see.
Yeah. It might have been planes.
If it's not a Boros Charm, how's that?
Well, it could be Brave the Elements.
Well, if he had Boros Charmer, he'd have to slam it now because once. Well, no, actually, Costa has 2 more green up.
No,
but
no,
it would still work. He'd have to tap his blockers
Yeah.
to gain life. So Boros Charmer.
Well,
gets
no,
him.
no, you're right. Yeah, it was only. I don't know what it is. I think Costa did it. I
I think
think
Costa's pulled this out.
I
We'll see.
think he did. Yeah. So there's a Soldier Pantheon, and there's still another Scavenging Ooze. So there's still at least 2 more creatures in the yard. So essentially, Costa could go to 5. Will Brave the Elements actually do anything? Pro Green. Then the Mutavaults. No, because he could block first, then gain the life. Yeah, I think this might be it. Let's see. Chris is in the tank. He's gonna activate both Mutavaults. He's going to swing with everything. Maybe he's hoping Costa makes a missed block. Maybe he does have something here.
Yeah, Costa does have 2 more life as soon as this combat is over.
Yeah. So, I mean, he essentially has 2 more life during combat.
Right.
Because you could just tap those carrots and take away Scavenging Ooze, take away Soldier of Pantheon. Because he does have the 2 green mana from those Sylvan Carotids. They produce any color. So this way, Costa will go down to 1 right now, correct?
Yep. Cool.
All right, Costa's on 1. So Boros Charm will do it. You are correct. Let's see what's going to happen here.
Boros Charm would do it all along.
I think it's only Boros. I think it's Boros Charm or bust here, right?
Yeah.
Nothing in the 75. No white fog or anything.
No, there's nothing left that answers the dragons.
All right, Chris just this could be like the ultimate slow roll. But now he's on tap with a lot of green, and that's it. All right,
Matthew
wow.
Costa is your Star City
All
Games
right.
Providence champion.
Congratulations, Matt. That was intense, Matthias.
Absolutely. So 2 games to 1. Costa winning game 1 on a mulligan, and all but seeming to have won game 2 doesn't